Welcome back, everyone, to a new game of a First Book of Morphy. Today, I will be covering game 41 of a First Book of Morphy. We are covering middle game rule number 6. All combinations are based on a double attack. We have Paul Morphy versus Benjamin Tilgman with King's Gambit. So let's get to that position. And again, this is a short game. Here, the black notes that black's future lies in his advantages in pawns and space on the king side. Here, the author says that this is a slip, enabling white to break up the pawns here on the king side, the f4 and g5 pawns. The author says that bishop g7 was the best move, and the reason why is because white can now play h4 to break up the pawns. Now bishop g7, right, h4, then h6. If pawn takes, now the pawn recaptures on g5, and now after rook takes, the bishop on g7 recaptures the rook on h8. Again, black did not go bishop g7. Black went d6, h4, g4 by black. Knight g5, targeting f7 with the knight and the bishop. So knight h6, black defends this square. d4, taking control of the center here. f6, here the author notes that this is a difficult position for black, who has fallen behind center control and development and is about to lose his material lead. So bishop takes on f4. So again, if pawn recaptures, then the black author says here that black is in trouble on the dark squares. After bishop captures on g5, queen d7, and then out castles, and then the rook has the open file, and then queen d2, possibly to take here, and then bishop captures, and then let's say a move like knight c6, then we have queen d2, and then maybe what else? You need to get your bishop out, or a rook move, right? And then you're going to take here, say rook move, now takes, bishop takes, queen takes. And now here we have this covered going on. Of course, the rook is here in the way, but again, it's just for illustration purposes to show you the position after the pawn takes. So instead of the pawn capturing on g5, we have knight c6. Then we have castles by white, queen e7, knight c3, queen to g7. Here the author just notes that finally the f6 capturing on g5 is a real threat, but black has fallen too far behind in development. So knight e6 with a fork. Well, actually it's hitting the queen and the bishop. So bishop captures, and then we have king e7. Now, this is the position from the thumbnail. Again, white has a good position. I'm really not sure what the stockfish says. +4, +5. This is a good position. So how would you continue right here, right? How would you do your combination? Of course, you can use checks, captures, and threats. And of course, you can see the combinations, but in what order would you play them? Of course, we have knight to d5. We have king d8, right? Or king e8, or if king captures e6, what would be the move? We do have a check here, bishop takes, queen takes, and queen to g4 check. Now, there's probably many different options here. White goes knight d5 check, king captures e6. Now if king e8, then we have bishop captures on h6, queen captures on h6, and then knight captures c7 with the fork. Instead of king e8, if king d8, then we have knight captures x6. Knight captures f6. If queen captures on f6, then bishop to g5, pinning the queen to the king. So no king d8, no king e8. Instead, we have king captures on e6. So for this, Paul Morphy played bishop captures h6, queen captures h6, queen g4 check, king f7, rook f6 check, queen captures f6, knight captures f6, and here there's two possible moves. If king captures f6, we can get the rook in the game, or we can trap the king with queen d7, preventing it from going back. If bishop to g7, then we can do kind of the same trick here, or we can get the rook into the game. So again, in this position is where black resigned. Now again here, queen d7, and now the king is forced to kind of go towards somewhere towards here, right after rook e8 check. So let's go ahead and recap really quickly, go over the moves. Again, black is more concerned about getting material than he is about developing and controlling the center. Let's count the pawn moves in the opening, right? So 1 and 1, 2 pawn moves. Okay, so now we're at 2 pawn moves each, right? White has a second pawn move, black has a second pawn move. Now white develops, and here black plays another pawn move. And this is something important that you should keep track of in your games: is how many are you equally developed as your opponent. Here, black wastes another tempi with another pawn move. White develops another pawn move by black. Here, white plays another pawn move. Again, this is with the threat. G4, another pawn move. However, this one is with the threat on the knight of f3, so white has to move the same knight to g5. Now black develops, pawn move to d4. This one helps control the center. Another pawn move by black, f6. Bishop takes while developing the bishop. Knight c6, developing move, good. White castles is good. Queen e7, knight c3. Black moves the queen again to g7. Now again, when you move the queen again, it better really serve a purpose. It better help defend the position. Knight to e6 with the threat. Now bishop takes while bishop captures while developing the light square bishop. Bishop takes. Knight d5. So by the time black started developing, it was already too late. He was behind in development, and white cashed in with an attack on the enemy king. So that is it. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I will see you all in the next one.